Yo, we're back for 2024, the new schedule.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, of course. Not today being Monday, but this is going to be the new schedule for Monday and Thursday. But we'll be getting
maybe not so happy for Bama and Texas.
Yeah, we already know what the deal is there. You know that's the elephant in the room, or the elephant that had just left the room, the Alabama Crimson Tide, who, in my opinion, should not have been there to begin with. And you know how things just happen to play themselves out. You look at what happened, you see the teams that had gotten screwed, Florida State in particular, and you think about the 2 1-loss teams they were trying to push in there to keep Florida State out, at least one of them. They both are out of there. So things checked out the way they were supposed to have gone. 2 undefeated teams in the national championship game, none of them with any SEC ties.
You're exactly right, 100%. It's the way it's supposed to be, except that's the destination, but the journey was not what it was supposed to be, but whatever. And then people, dumbasses, trying to say, yeah, look at Florida State lost 63-3. That was not Florida State. I mean, so many players opted out. They gave the college football playoff the 2 middle fingers. We ain't playing this meaningless game. That was not Florida State, so you can't use that argument.
And that's what I was about to tell you about when we were just off the air. I wanted to save it for now. People who I really respect, who usually come with real concise arguments, they put thought into their arguments. All of a sudden, because they do not like Florida State, because I have a friend who likes Florida, he's a big-time Florida fan, so obviously liking Florida State isn't something that's on the menu, even when it comes down to fairness. And this one person in particular is usually fair. But this time around, see, I told you they should have been in there. They got blown out.
Come on, man.
Almost 30 players left the team,
right?
Not because of anything other than getting screwed over. Not because I'm preparing for the NFL, because they got screwed over.
Right. And not only almost 30 players, wasn't it like 18 or 19 starters?
Yeah.
That's like 2 full units.
You have 2 players, units, arguably first rounders, versus a first rounder going into the NFL. Keon Coleman on the wide receiver is a first rounder going into the NFL. We're talking about a whole bunch of players that made this team an undefeated team, won their conference championships, which you wanted, since Miami was able to play Nebraska and they complained about Nebraska not being conference champs. This was supposed to be that correction going with the BCS. Now you get this instance where you do the same thing again because of favoritism, and then the way they manipulated it, because you couldn't put Alabama in there if Texas was in there, so you made sure Texas was in there so that Alabama could be in there,
right,
because Texas already had beaten them head-to-head. Completely throw out the window that Georgia, as the number 1 team, lost to a number 8 team, so they jump up that far when no one else was losing. Unbelievable, ridiculous, but things still worked out the way they probably should have worked out anyway.
Right. And that was my thing when I said at the time, how do you go from number 3, you win your game, and then you drop to number 5? Or I don't even know if they're number 5 or 6 or whatever. But you didn't do anything to drop. So it was totally bogus. But, we're just rehashing old stuff. I would like to say the great Nick Saban wasn't so great last night. They had no answer for the D-line putting pressure on Milroe. And then in the fourth quarter, they had no answer for what Michigan was doing on that last drive and in overtime. They looked lost. The fourth and two play, dude was wide open. I don't know if that was wide banana or whatever, but perfect play call. Perfect play call.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing, though, to Nick Saban's credit, being the great coach that he is, you can't win them all. At least in the second half, he stopped the bleeding to a degree in which Alabama did finally get it back in vogue. They had gotten sacked 5 times in the first half. Now, let's go back to what we talked about earlier in the season. I know you want to keep it on right now, but this gives it a point of reference. In the beginning of the season, we talked about how much he had gotten sacked. Whichever quarterback they had back there, whether it was Jalen Monroe, Tyler Buckner, Ty Simpson, didn't matter. They were getting sacked. And in inordinate amounts of numbers, they were getting sacked. And the only thing you kept hearing was about how big Alabama's offensive line was, how it's bigger than any NFL offensive line, but they weren't doing anything but getting run around.
It doesn't mean good.
It did not mean good. Now, they had improved over the course of the year, which you would expect, especially Caden Proctor, their number one offensive lineman coming out of high school last year, starting as a true freshman, 6'8", 356 pounds. He finally kind of got caught up to speed to a degree. But I think playing in the SEC, which I've said several times, at least this season, they weren't as good as they've always been. Playing against that was more like fool's gold. It was like the placebo effect. And then when they played teams, well, like Michigan or even like Texas, they couldn't hang. They thought they made the progress, which they did. But then when we saw them against Michigan yesterday, man, that Michigan front line, offensively and defensively, even with Michigan missing their starting center, who may be a first rounder in the upcoming draft, they were still dominating Alabama on the line of scrimmage.
Right. And to Bama's credit, and Michigan's miscredit, they seemed like they were almost trying to give the ball away.
Why?
And when the game away. But when the chips were down, and I always say this, don't tell me what you did, tell me when you did it. And they did it in the fourth quarter. They got it clicking. They were totally focused. And I'm reminded of what they used to say about the old Steelers. Great teams aren't always great, but they're great when they have to be. And Michigan was great last night when they had to be.
Michigan was great last night when they had to be. And I thought going into this game, they were great anyway. Alabama was the team that had to prove they belonged there. And
I'm saying with the mistakes they were making.
Oh, they had to try to hand it to them.
Yeah.
Put themselves in a hole.
Oh my gosh, that last punt when the dude bobbled it or
tried to shoestring it.
I thought he was going to cough it up and they're going to recover in the end zone. Ball game.
Oh, my God.
Man, that was crazy.
Jalen Monroe, let's give credit where credit is due from what he started as until what he has become. He's still a pretty solid quarterback, worked himself into the Heisman Trophy candidacy this year. Probably definitely going to be even maybe a leader in the Heisman Trophy race going into the season, at least with this Alabama team, if even some of them stay behind. This is a hell of a team to deal with. But as it stands right now, he could not read the defenses again. And then when they tried to run, they were there for him. And it just did not work out for them. J.J. McCarthy, on the other hand, didn't do a whole lot himself, but when he needed to do it, he did it. When Blake Corum needed to do it, he did it. And we saw how it played out.
Right. Yeah, the defense kept Milroe in check as far as running. And I think all the pressure they put on him early had an effect on him for the rest of the game. Even though they weren't no longer getting to him, he was feeling them. He was keeping an eye out. Where's this guy? Where's that guy? That's only human nature after you get hit so many times.
Yeah, and they're talking about how big
so
and
to Michigan's credit, they had him hearing things and seeing things that maybe weren't quite there.
Yeah, and he's a big dude, and I think at one point Kirk Herbstreit said he's the fastest guy in the field, and I think that might be the truth. Jermaine Burton just disappeared yesterday. I don't know if he couldn't get separation or Michigan just did that great a job against him, or Monroe just couldn't find him. I thought Monroe became a better passer as the season had gone on, adding to his running prowess. But yesterday, it just didn't work to the way I thought it would, with Jermaine Burton really stepping up, being that playmaker they needed. There really wasn't any real playmakers. Jason McClellan, who was pretty much a game-time decision with a foot injury, ran the ball effectively, but once Michigan got him on locks and got the rest of the team on lock, they just couldn't really shake it.
Right. What did you think about the final play, the call?
Well, the final call, you know what? I don't want to put blame on any particular player, but towards the end of the game when things started really coming down to it,
the center got tight.
The tight end, the center, the bad snaps. This guy, bro,
got tight.
And then that last snap was a bad snap again. Monroe had to play shortstop with that snap to a degree, and even though it might have thrown him off a little bit, bro, that defensive line was already in his face anyway. I don't think anything changes with a perfect snap. The only one who had a great game was the freaking kicker at Alabama, who's going to the NFL.
Yeah, I didn't like that call. I'm not a Bama fan. I was going for Michigan. I don't even like Michigan, but I was going for them.
Yeah.
And when he ran it straight into the pile of bodies, I was like, yes. I was happy. That was a terrible call. You got analysts on TV saying, well, if this happens and this happens, and if he follows the guard, he walks in. Follow the guard. He got tripped up by his own man because his own man got punked.
Yeah,
by
and they were getting
Stewart.
punked all day.
Yeah, how
See,
you get out of here? He's gonna walk, and he wasn't walking nothing in.
now to that end, I was wondering down, because Jalen Monroe, as I've been saying, has gotten better throughout the year, and we know when there's a whole bunch of field left, he can really pick things apart because he can throw that intermediate pass. And throughout the season, he's gone to Jermaine Burton and made those big plays down the field. I think he averages over about 19 yards per touchdown reception because he just holds it. He has the arm to do it and the athletes to make the plays. That shorter area of the red zone from the 20 yards out, and now even closer, like the 3-yard line. I think that was a bigger problem because I don't think there was much he could do in terms of passing and being accurate and doing the right thing when he had to. I think J.J. McCarthy would have been in the same spot if he had to be in that 3-yard line area and had to make decisions because his accuracy and all he wanted to do and all he's been known to do this year just wasn't on page the last night. Monroe was the same way. What was he going to do? Roll out?
The Michigan staff gave him a play where he didn't have to be accurate, just dump it off to the wide open back in the flat.
Great play calling. Absolutely great play calling. The jet sweep deal and faking that over
the motion and
all of that, man, and it's just wide open. But just what Jalen Monroe had to do. I don't think that they trust him, but I don't think they completely trust him. When I believe with this on the line, you just have to trust him. I would have trusted his arm down there, throwing it to the right person, last down, everything on the line. I think the best option they had for him was 2-1, but with Michigan playing the way they did, there just was no way around it. Now, do they went to the outside and have better luck? I don't think so, the way Michigan was getting after it.
Right. So on Sunday, I was watching the Bears. I think it was 3rd and 6 late in the game. They needed the first down. They won handily, but instead of calling the pass, they called a design run for Justin. I'm like, so does that mean they have more trust in his legs than his arm?
Still,
to me, that opens up questions. Even like if it's Lamar Jackson, they're not going to call a design run on 3rd and 6, maybe 3rd and 2. Yeah. 3rd and 6. No, he's dropping back looking for an open receiver. And I think same thing with Moreau. They probably trusted his legs more than his arm.
Yep, exactly what I'm saying, because I don't see any other way he might have been able to roll out and throw it and still be accurate, especially in that confined area, which you get down by the 3-yard line or a little bit further out. Leg-wise, could he get to the outside? They said he's the fastest guy out there, but everybody's a lot faster when they're in that confined area just as well. You're not shaking anyone. It's going to be nothing but speed and power getting in that end zone if you're going to get in there to begin with. But Alabama, out they go, along with the bathwater and along with anything else that had to go along with it. 2 undefeated teams, one from the now going to be defunct Pac-12, the Washington Huskies, who absolutely deserved what they had gotten, and Michigan, who I thought was from the beginning of the season, wire to wire, the best team in the country. They proved it a little bit right now, but I think really proving it comes down to playing Washington, which is the undefeated team, which is the disrespected team, which in my opinion, in terms of matchups, certainly brings a set of problems for Michigan.
Yeah, so just think about this. If there was no playoff, there was no BCS, Michigan and Washington would have played in the Rose Bowl for the national championship anyway.
Yep, that's exactly what would have happened. That's exactly what would have happened. They talked about if Georgia had won, they would have gone to the Rose Bowl anyway because Georgia was the number 1 seed. So they would have gone to the Rose Bowl and played one another. It would have been Washington. It would have been Michigan. And then for the right to play Georgia, whoever they played in the national championship game. But yeah, that's the way it would have been under the normal circumstances, the old school circumstance. But we still ended up getting 2 undefeated teams. Florida State, I believe if they had gotten it, even with the players that they had, probably loses to one of those 2 teams or both of those teams. So they probably wouldn't have made it, but we still would have gotten out 2 undefeated teams.
With their defense, it's not like Alabama was lighting it up. They were getting gifts from Michigan, getting the ball at the 20, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're getting gifts.
Their offense was helped immensely by Michigan's miscues. If that's Florida State's defense and they don't give them the ball inside the 20, inside the 30, and Alabama doesn't have short fields, can you honestly say they would put up 20 points on them? I don't know.
No. But you know what? I look at it all in the flow of the game, these things that happen, but we still get the ending that we had gotten. Now we have a championship game coming up next Monday between Michigan and Washington. Michigan's already the early 4.5-point favorite, which I think is right on the nose. I wouldn't have been unhappy with 3.5 points. because I think the matchups is different, because the matchup poses a real threat, as we have Jalen Moreau, who we think is an improved passer, but he's not by no means a passer that's a serious threat on every down, whereas Michael Penix is a serious threat on every down. And he has the wide receivers, including the tight ends, to get the ball to, and those guys don't drop a damn thing. You're going to have more than 2 good defensive backs in Michigan to cover all the receivers that they have, and Michael Penix himself being pinpoint accurate like he was, because that game with Texas wasn't even as close as it was closer than it looked.
It was crazy how it came down to the final play, man. But that's what they get for not downing the ball. Who was calling plays? Cristobal?
Cristobal, bro. Here we go again.
Why not just kneel on the ball?
That's what we get.
Yeah, that's what you get. The running back gets hurt and the clock stops.
Yep.
That was the only reason that game came down to the last play like it did. And when they got down, they were like at the 25. I was like, damn, Texas is gonna win this one. But give Washington credit, they held strong. And that last play, I don't remember the kid's name, but he was all over it. He swatted that ball like he was
volleyball,
I'm trying to think of shit. Like he was Ben Wallace in
for real
in the 90s.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Ball game, we're going to the championship.
Nice and clean, too. It was nice and clean. Not even a chance for a pass interference or behind the back or anything else they might have wanted to throw out there to kind of ruin it.
It was like he knew what the play was. He was watching the quarterback, keeping an eye on his receiver. He's like, there it is. I'm going to go get it. Get that shit out of here, man. Now, not of me, not tonight.
Now, what do you think of Quinn Ewers? Because all season long, I looked at him as a pretty good quarterback, maybe even a very good quarterback. Nothing great about him. But then in this game here, he had every opportunity. He didn't make the throws he needed to make, and he didn't put it where his receivers needed to catch it, and they lose the game. Well, because the quarterback, you catch the blame, you get the praise, win and lose.
I was watching that game, and I was honestly thinking, would Sarkisian do what Saban did when he brought in Tua against Georgia and bring in Archie? Woo. And then they say he was warming up. I was like, oh, shit. Is he going to do it? But he didn't do it. Ewers kind of struggled in the middle of the game, but then late he found his rhythm, and he was looking good at the end. And that's why I thought, oh, man, Texas is going to score and win this game.
But I remember Tua when he was a true freshman and when he came in for the spring game. I saw him then and said, yo, this dude's definitely going to be better than Jalen Hurts. Now, I don't know if I was just hating against Jalen Hurts. I don't believe I was. I think I was calling it what it was. But, hey, when the opportunity came for him, he did exactly what I thought he would do when he won the national championship.
Hurts now.
And, well, Jalen Hurts.
Better than Hurts now.
You know what? He may just be better than Jalen Hurts the way things have been going, especially for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get around to that NFL because there was a lot of that going on, too. And by the way, it's all over in terms of MVP.
You got to talk about the Huskies. I said Penix was going to be in his bag.
Yeah, Penix, bro.
Man, the dimes he was dropping, I mean, not even like 14 to 15-yard passes. They're downfield like 39 yards, 45 yards.
But his dudes don't drop a damn thing.
Man.
His guys catch everything.
Yeah, credit to the wide receivers, too, because they weren't – it's not like they were wide open.
Nah, bro.
They had guys right there, and they made good catches. But, I mean, the balls were thrown almost so perfectly. How could they not catch it? It's like right there.
Yeah, man. You know what? Another Tampa guy, another Florida guy. I always ride with my Florida dudes.
But he's like 30 years old now, ain't he?
He's an older guy. And we look at his journey, man. You know, before he came to Washington, I would believe he was Indiana, and had his ACL and all that thing. You know, he had a bunch of injuries, and it just culminates here. And it would be great for him to win a national championship. And I think we're going to get a good game or a great game between Michigan and Washington. Now that these teams are back to their habit of playing a week apart, as opposed to playing and having not played in 3 weeks, coming back rusty, and then having to show your true colors in the second half, or maybe even later. Things start off from the very beginning in this game, I believe, when they do play on Monday. But Washington, deservedly so, disrespected all this time, still has an element of disrespect, being a 4.5-point favorite, but they're going against a great team. So it's not really a shame or a slight against them to be down 4.5 right now, at least for Vegas. You know, these squares will get in eventually and start jumping on the bandwagon, knock it down to probably 4, maybe 3.5. But this Washington team, and
you know another thing about that game though, what was Texas OC doing? It's like they were dominating on the run, and he kept calling pass plays on first down. You would get sacked, 2nd and 12. Well, now you got to pass. And then when the one drive where they decided, man, we're just going to run the ball. They just moved it, shoved it down their throat, basically. And my friend and I at the bar were like, all right, well, they figured it out. They're just going to ball control and run it down their throat. But then come out the next possession and they're throwing it 40 yards downfield. Or I'm like, we're looking at each other like, man, just keep doing what you're doing, coach, because we don't want Texas to win. And I think early on, especially, they helped Washington out. Where if they come out and just said, we're just going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball.
Done just that.
I don't know how Washington could have stopped it, and they would have been worn out. It probably would have ended up like a 2 or 3 score game even.
And this, these offensive coordinators or these coordinators and coaches, period, their egos, I believe, get in the way. And I think they have a tie to a player. I think you want to see Clint Ewers throw the ball pretty often. You want to give him every opportunity to look like a Heisman Trophy candidate, maybe going into next season. So you do all of these things now. You can run the ball and win the game effectively, but you want to give him every opportunity. And it's not like he's not capable. He can do it, but you needed that running game yesterday to be consistent, and you could have won with that running game and been consistent and still mixed in a little bit of pass. In fact, if you have more of a formidable running game, which they already had, the passing game is even more effective, and they don't even come down to this. But this is how coaches think. I've seen it so many times. And now we have Washington.
You would think somebody would say, hey, man, he's 0 for 3 his first 3 passes. How about you try running the ball this possession, coach?
Sounds like too much sense.
I'm thinking of what's your name from The Blind Side? Run the damn ball.
Yeah, run the ball, really. It's for real, man. And they could have done it. But you know what? I'm glad we got the matchup we have because karma just worked out the way it should have worked out with 2 undefeated teams. Bama out of there. Texas probably, if anyone did deserve it that had 1 loss, it probably was them. They should have been the number 4 seed if you had Florida State in there. So they still belonged in there. You have your top 3 undefeated teams in there. That's the way it should have worked, but it didn't. So now we got to just move it on, and we have a whole week to break it down and talk about, well, the rest of the week to talk about it.
But like you have SEC people like Georgia should have been there. Look what happened to Ohio State. They suck. And that's not Ohio State without Marvin Harrison Jr.
Another one of those doggone instances.
What's the quarterback's name who's in the transfer portal? I can't remember his name.
Kyle McCord. He's already at Syracuse.
McCord. Yeah, went to Syracuse. That's not the same Ohio State team. Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? And not only that, Marvin Harrison Jr. not playing going into the NFL draft. You take those 2 off the team. These are the guys that led that team pretty much to where they were going. And by the way, Missouri was down 3-0 for nearly half the game. They ultimately win 14-3 only because Devin Brown got hurt. And then you bring the 3rd string in there who couldn't do a damn thing. They weren't doing too much with Devin Brown, but still. I mean, Devin Brown and Kyle McCord were battling it out early in the season, and they settled on Kyle McCord because he was the man in the clubhouse. But then at the end of the season, after the Michigan loss, Ryan Day didn't give the commitment that Kyle McCord will have the job going into the spring. That's why he's now in Syracuse. But 14-3, I did say, and I've said it several times this season, the top 3 teams in the SEC could not beat the top 3 teams in the Big Ten. And those 3 teams, the Big Ten, was Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Well, Penn State did lose to Ole Miss, and rightfully so. So that's a loss right there. And Ohio and Ole Miss is not a top. They were a top 10 team, but they're not a top team in the SEC because they were blown out by Georgia. But then you look at because LSU would have been that other team, outside of Missouri, but Missouri proved to be that 3rd team for the SEC, along with Alabama, along with Georgia. Georgia, Alabama already eliminated. The only one to win.
It's so messed up now. Like Jaden Daniels didn't play, and Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't play. The other games don't mean anything. So
it doesn't. And I tell you what, it's an absolute microcosm of what college football has become, with everybody deciding to leave the door. All these players going stage left and getting out of there, whether because they're transferring, whether they're just upset or they're preparing for the NFL. Look at the attendances at these games. The Citrus Bowl, you look at that, the Fiesta Bowl, you look in the stands, you're like, oh my God, this used to be such a festive time on New Year's Day. You could see packed houses, and they're looking like half empty bowls of cereal when you go to a game. You look in the stands like, you can point out a hot dog vendor. At games like Tennessee playing against Iowa, come on, man. Iowa, Kirk Ferentz fired his own son, who's the offensive coordinator. They can't move the ball. Tennessee could have won the game 3-0 because they ended up winning 35-0. I mean, we know that Iowa has a defense, but that offense is just so bad. They can't score. But the SEC, the great SEC, even under these circumstances, went 5-4. The Big Ten went 5-4 in this bowl season. It used to be one of those gauges to where you could get a truer gauge of, okay, who's really the best conference. You can't do that now when you have with Florida State losing nearly 30 people, other teams losing 10, 15 people, 5 people, 6 people, or just your key players like Ohio State.
Right. And what did you think about Kirby Smart's comments after the game?
Oh, you know what? About things being screwed up the way they are? I mean, I agree. They are. And I heard Florida State people, we don't need his sympathy. No, he's not giving you sympathy. He's speaking sense. This is what it is.
Saying what the situation is, pointing it out that it's
That's
bad.
exactly what it is. And he's one of the beneficiaries of it, and a lot of these other top coaches are. But look at what we have. And now we're talking about the transfer portal being what it is. You have DJ Ugalele, who now left Oregon State, now committed to Florida State, 3 teams in 3 seasons. This is going to be the norm. I think there should be some regulation in place to prevent that from happening. Money-wise, get your money. As far as bouncing around from place to place, that's where they need to step in and disallow.
Yeah, I don't believe kids should be able to transfer after every football season to a new school.
That's exactly what it seems. Now, and DJ's
maybe
kids,
2 transfers per player's career. I don't know.
I thought it was a limit of 2 before you had to get a waiver or so. But apparently, I don't know the rules. So
I don't know. You still got people getting COVID years and stuff.
Super duper
crazy.
Seniors.
Yeah,
that's how you get these 25-year-old players now. Everybody's Stetson Bennett. They're gonna have a statue to him soon. But you look at what's going on with college football and the way it stands right now. All these players going from place to place, different school, different allegiances. How do you expect the fans to really think about it unless you're one of those fans from these teams that constantly win? And of course, because of this player, you're going to be a champion. I can see why you would be happy. But in terms of the overall landscape of college football, you can't be happy about what's going on. I mean, I really follow and really love college football. But the way it is right now, I still love college football. I don't like what's going on in college football. Now you get KJ Jefferson from Arkansas committing to UCF when Miami missed out on Cam Ward. And the biggest thing that boggles my mind, Cam Ward from Washington State, probably at best is a 3rd or 4th round quarterback. He chose not to transfer. Bro, you were better off just staying at your own school.
Maybe he's not happy there. But as far as the state of college football, I don't like it either. I used to be hyped for bowl season.
Oh, that was
I didn't even look to see who was playing early yesterday on New Year's Day. I didn't care. Wisconsin was kicking off. Who cares? I don't even know who Wisconsin played. I just kept flipping because all I was thinking was 5 o'clock playoff. Oh, that's probably why LSU no Jaden Daniels.
Exactly. Well, the only thing that made sense to me in that game, because early in the season when I was on Jaden Daniels being a not so good quarterback, I thought he was overrated. I said, you will see Gus Nussmeier this year. And you did in the bowl game because he left. So, hey, the predictions keep coming in. Unbelievable. Garrett Nussmeier. Well, anyways, he had a hell of a game.
But even non-New Year's Day bowls, I mean, like the Holiday Bowl or the Alamo Bowl, there used to be worse. Some good matchups. I'm saying, but there used to be some good matchups, interesting matchups, and now I can't even tell you who played because I don't care.
Yep, but look at the attendance. It's telling you the story. The attendance.
I don't even know what the attendance was because I never paid attention.
Last week I was talking about the largest attendance in a bowl game up to that point was the HBCU Celebration Bowl between FAMU and Howard University.
Man, you just can't help yourself. You always got to talk HBCU.
No, the point is that they did have the highest attendance, over 41,000.
You bring it up almost every show.
But for them to have that much of an attendance advantage over these so-called Power 5 and other so-called Division 1A schools, that says a lot in terms of the interest people had in the bowl season this year in particular. Now they've trickled down the ranks. I think they're still up in the top 10 attendance-wise during this bowl season. There have been 42 bowls. We're going into a 43rd bowl next Monday. And they're probably, if I check it again, in the top 10 or close to it. That says a lot, man.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it does. It tells you the state of the college football right now.
And it's not even taking away
It's a
anything
bad
from
shape.
them.
I don't even know if anybody's looking at it or if they're trying to come up with solutions, but it's gonna go to a 12-team playoff, right?
Yeah. And it gives more hope. It's a little better, a lot better, in fact.
So that's what, 4 more games, 4 more bowl games that matter. Still, all the other bowl games don't mean nothing.
Yeah, exactly. All the other bowl games, but I guess when it comes down to that huge money, when you get these contracts with these televisions, and they're talking about these bowl games, that's where that big pot of money is guaranteeing from the bowl games. These other little bowl games out there, those little satellite bowl games, those little bowl games where the sub 500 teams might just make it, they don't, hey, just have fun there. Some of them are even at a deficit with their budget getting there, once the game is over. Now, I remember years ago that happened with one of those teams where they were pretty much in the negative going to the bowl game. It was almost not worth it, but we did it for the kids because they needed to be rewarded. But, man, I mean, I looked at what Miami had done. Miami played against Rutgers and lost against Rutgers, which, by the way, looking at Rutgers, I've watched them a couple of times this year. I liked what they were doing, but their quarterback was so horrendous. But, that team is a team on the rise. If they can do something with that quarterback situation, their offensive line and what Greg Schiano has there is absolutely on another level from what Rutgers football is usually about. And that Manungai, the running back, absolutely ran through Miami, but he also was the leading rusher in the Big Ten this year, even ahead of Blake Corum with 1,099 yards before the bowl games. So this is a name you're probably going to hear in the Doak Walker candidacy and even a Heisman run if Rutgers gets on a nice run.
Yeah, but we gave college football 30 minutes. Let's get to the NFL.
Right? But you know what it's about, though? Again, the NFL. But isn't this anticlimactic? Because going into this season, going into this week, now we're getting that rest we talked about last week. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Now Baltimore's talking about Lamar Jackson. They're not giving a yes or no whether he's playing or not. Everything's locked down with these number 1 seeds. But let's get into the games. Lamar Jackson's already walking away with the MVP.
Yeah, he should, I believe. People are going to say McCaffrey has the numbers, Tyreek Hill has the numbers, Jackson doesn't have the numbers. He was getting a lot of shade, a lot of people trolling him, and then he dropped 5 touchdowns and 300-some yards.
Over 300 yards, bro.
Gave all his haters a big middle finger.
Didn't he? Yo, bro, I don't think there's any argument now.
Like people were saying, Miami could do this, Miami could do that. He's like, hell no, that Miami ain't doing shit.
Miami can take this L.
We get this number 1 seed locked up today.
Yo,
he did what MVPs do: go out there and take shit.
You know what? And it was a game in the beginning until he just warmed up and started pinpointing and hitting it, just knocking it out of the park. He made it look easy, and he made it look easy against the 49ers. The team he may face again in the Super Bowl if they get there.
Right.
Man, this is just, man, I think MVP, the conversation is over. You can say what you want about Christian McCaffrey. I've been on that bandwagon to a degree, but he was never anyone's consistent number 1 at any point. He was always in the discussion, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 3, maybe 2. Now, because of Lamar Jackson's play against the team that he played against over the past couple of weeks, I think on the strength of that alone, he should get the nod. The numbers and everything show it. Look at this past 6-7 games.
What's crazy is a few weeks ago we were looking ahead, and I was like, Baltimore has the toughest schedule to end the season. And right. They just smoked the 49ers, smoked the Dolphins, locked up the number 1 seed. Brownie, Mr. Burr wannabe came back to reality. Yeah. Bengals are out, but Joe Flacco's still doing his thing
against the Jets, man. No, he did look good because that Jets defense is still a good defense. That offense is an absolute mess, and Joe Flacco putting up the numbers. I don't know where he found that fountain of youth. He's using it, and it's working for him. And the Cleveland Browns are in tow right now. I mean, really.
I mean, he's arguably playing better now than he was when the year they won the Super Bowl.
You know what? If you look at the stats, you probably go back and you can see that he is, especially this late in the season. Because when they went to the Super Bowl, I don't think many people gave him the credit he deserved.
They needed a miracle 4th and 21 or something to not to avoid being eliminated. Then they had they were in the game in Denver. They were struggling offensively.
Yeah.
Flacco was not playing then like he is now.
Oh, absolutely not. And then, come on, Flacco wasn't playing the way he is now. Flacco was on fire right now, and I hope it doesn't end because I like the storyline, regardless of what I thought about him and still think about him. I like to see how he plays in this environment, especially for the Cleveland Browns fans. I mean, I don't think you have to be a Cleveland Browns fan to kind of like, kind of smirk at what they're doing and say, God, you know what, these dudes might go in there and be a spoiler. But I do believe Baltimore is the cream of the class, a cream of the crop, and I don't think that goes without being said, without saying. But the way things are looking in the NFL, we have our top heavy teams. Kansas City still struggling. I mean, absolutely. Philadelphia absolutely going down a slide. I mean, Arizona, bro, come on now.
Arizona can jump up and bite you. They got Dallas earlier in the season.
Yeah, they did. So and I did say they were on a clock in August. I guess not.
But getting back to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, I think I would play him the first half and then sit him the second half. Like I would announce that's the plan. And you telling everybody we don't care if we win this game, we don't care if we lose this game. Just so he gets some snaps and he doesn't go a full extra week without game snaps.
See, I thought about that with him only because he's a quarterback. A running back, the injuries there, and they devalue running backs anyway, but Christian McCaffrey's a different kind of running back. He does everything out there. But yeah, as a quarterback, when it comes down to timing, I wouldn't like to see this guy. If he doesn't play today, if he doesn't play on Sunday, that means by the time he does play, that would be the third week because he's getting the bye. That's a long damn time for a quarterback, man. I wouldn't want that.
Exactly. My only concern would be the Browns defense, Myles Garrett. If they're getting pressure to him and he's scrambling around and taking unnecessary hits, you know what? Shut it down.
Yeah, no, I can see that part now. Now, Myles Garrett gets on it, or just the Cleveland's defense all together because they've been that kind of a defense this year anyway. If it's warming up and he's getting banged around, get him out there, man. But I think Harbaugh is going to make that decision on Sunday. I think he's not going to play him at all. I hope. Obviously, they know better than what we know. But 3 weeks, man.
My only question is, does losing affect the Browns in any way, their playoff status? Or they're probably going on the road no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. They're going on the road. Wish they might locked it down because they'll be the second team coming out of the division. Right. Some teams only have one team coming out of the division.
They want them playing the Dolphins or either the Jaguars, Colts, or Texans.
I know, right? There we go with that now.
Which one of those teams is going to win it on Sunday?
The Jaguars beat up on the Carolina Panthers, therefore giving you all the number one pick in the draft. So things look good for the Chicago Bears, and hopefully the GMs can get it right this time. Now, are you looking for a quarterback or are you looking for a receiver? Because Marvin Harrison Jr., depending on the team, can be the number one pick overall. And then now we look at these quarterbacks. I know Michael Penny's done nothing but get his credit, his stock way up through the sky.
Right. And being with his age and his accuracy, he might be the most NFL ready out of all of them.
But the knee issues, the ACL and all that, I think that could be true. It could play.
So he can't go to a team like Carolina.
No. Well, luckily he won't.
Right? That's my issue with most NFL teams when they draft quarterbacks number one. They don't do anything to beef up their offensive line. If anything, you got to protect that young guy. He's not going to know exactly what he's doing, especially early in the season. CJ Stroud notwithstanding.
Yeah, exactly. CJ Stroud. I just give him the look at the year. Okay, I can live with it. Even after missing games.
If Penix, maybe if he goes later in the first round, he goes to a better team with a better line, maybe he's not so much in danger of getting sacked and hit a lot.
You know what? Maybe Pittsburgh may want to revisit that one. The way things are working out with Kenny Pickett. I know it'll make the management look bad going after a first rounder in just 2 seasons. But, man, the way Kenny Pickett's been playing, man, I have much more promise with Mac Jones than I have with him going out and see what he's been doing. And he's an older quarterback himself than Kenny Pickett. But, going back to how those quarterbacks can come out without an offensive line and really disrupt their career, David Carr was that guy going to Houston. I mean, this guy just shell-shocked. I don't think he could have done anything after getting the beating he had taken in his rookie year, and then the first couple of years.
Well, I saw it happen to Jay Cutler, and he wasn't even a rookie when the Bears got him. He came in, he looked fairly decent. He still had room for improvement. Yeah, he had room for improvement and development. Then he got sacked 11 times on Sunday night or Monday night by the Giants, concussed, and they could not protect him. People want to say Cutler sucks. Well, I don't know that he sucks, but I think the Bears, more than him sucking, I think they ruined him.
They probably could have, because he did play well in Denver. It was that he had diabetes. I don't know if you heard his story, how he ended up getting he discovered he had diabetes. He didn't know it. He was losing weight, was feeling fatigued and all this stuff, and they kept giving him all these tests. Then they found out that he was diabetic. So I don't know how much that had to do with him playing up in Chicago in the way that he had, or was it just the personnel around him made it even worse for what he already was going through? I don't know. But, going a little bit back to that Jaguar game, they won 26-0. But I think the biggest story, when it was such an uneventful game, C.J. Beathard was the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence not playing. Well, David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, threw a drink at a fan and was fined $300,000 because of it. This guy's been throwing fits, though, for a couple of times. This is the latest of his fits. $300,000 for a multi-billionaire. He'll do it again.
Lucky that fan didn't go run our test on him.
Well, with the way things going on right there with the security he rolls with, especially when he comes to Duval, and no one's getting closer to him.
But that division, man, it's wide open. I'm pulling for the Texans. I want to see C.J. Stroud in the playoffs.
That's what I want.
What the kid can do in big games.
I'm rooting for the Jaguars to get there, but
I know you like Minshew though in Indy.
Oh yeah, Minshew, yeah, bro. If he can get there, I'll be happy as hell. Just because the way he is, I think he's the best backup in football. Not only because of the way he plays, it may not even be just the way he plays. It's just the way he embraces that role, and he really wants the guy he's in there for. He still helps him out. He doesn't do the Joe Flacco. He doesn't do the I'm just a professional deal. I'm not babysitting deal. He wants his team to win, and now he has a direct hand in his team winning. So there's a logjam in the AFC South. And then you look at these stories that just leaked out. I don't know if they leaked out or someone just bringing something up. Earlier in the season, Mike Vrabel of Tennessee was safe with his job. Now you hear, well, someone says that his contract is up at the last game. And then the next tweet was, well, they just found out that there's 2 years left. When they start playing games like that, man, somebody's going to eat the contract. He'd probably be out of there. And I thought he would be out of there anyway. I would have never trusted those owners or whoever told him that lie about how encouraged they are with what he's doing.
So speaking of leaks, word is out that Harbaugh hired an agent, Tom Brady's agent.
I thought he already had an agent.
That's what they said on ESPN this morning.
Well, he's a Michigan guy, so Tom Brady's agent doesn't sound too far-fetched.
Why is he getting an agent if he doesn't intend to leave? Where there's smoke,
you saw that little coy answer he gave yesterday when they asked him about what is he going to do.
My future is a happy flight home. Yeah,
happy flight home to Ann Arbor. He owes them nothing. If he wins this game and goes into the sunset of college football, he owes no one anything. They've won 6 games without him this year. They won the biggest game with him. And it's like they all rally around him. He made himself a victim. This dude made himself a victim. And his players bought into it. But if he ends up going to the NFL, man, some NFL team out there is going to love him. San Diego, I thought Eric Bieniemy might be good for San Diego, but Harbaugh, if he's
I want Bieniemy in Chicago.
But I just heard last week that Chicago is now leaning towards keeping your coach.
Yeah, I don't know. And the crowd's chanting, "We want Justin, we want Justin." I'm on records. I've been done with Justin for a few weeks now. I saw enough, all the turnovers, and he's played better. But a 3-game stretch, to me, doesn't take away a year and a half.
Yeah, but that you know what though? That
mediocrity.
That record looks a lot better now than it looked at the beginning of the season or even at the middle. And on top of that, you got this nice golden record on the ascend and still the number 1 pick overall. Bro, you got the best of both worlds right now.
You asked me about Eberflus.
Yeah, Eberflus.
So we're just going to disregard the 3 games when they had double-digit leads in the fourth quarter where the percentages for them to lose all three games comes out to 0.000000000000001 or whatever that number was.
Get a lottery ticket.
It was almost impossible for any team to lose all three of those games, and he was at the helm for those games. We're just going to disregard that.
I think it's all about momentum, man. You start winning those games and understand you're not going into the next season with the same momentum.
That's how a lot of teams get in trouble. You know how many teams have ended the season on a 4-game win streak? Oh, we got to watch out for them next year, and they're trash again next year.
But I don't think as many of them had as many opportunities as they have right now. You have Justin Fields now will be going into his 4th season. You would hope that this offseason is going to be something he can really work with. And then now you also go into a draft where you have 2 opportunities, right? In the first round?
Yeah. They at least got to get a new OC, somebody who has a track record of running an offense, developing quarterbacks, and calling good plays. Because Getsy, just because he was in Green Bay while Aaron Rodgers was there, that doesn't mean that he knows what he was doing. He was just there. It wasn't his offense. He wasn't calling the plays. And plus, you could call plays with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. I could call plays.
That's true. And Aaron was making it happen in Green Bay. But look at what happened in Chicago, man. You lost your defensive coordinator under those sketchy circumstances. I mean, there was a lot of tumultuous nonsense going on.
That's nothing attributed to Eberflus and the running back coach. 2 coaches fired for off the field, shady, creepy allegations. Those were his hires. So when you're doing the pros and cons, you got to add that to the cons.
Point the blame at him for hiring these guys, not knowing their character. But I mean, I like to believe. I mean, come on now. Do these guys get background checks, or they've just been in the NFL for so long? You don't have to do something that extreme, and you go with this buddy system that a lot of them seem to have, or this little fraternity mindset they have. And I doubt that he knew anything about what was going on. I mean, you don't hire a guy because he could coach well, but he has some tainted background. I just think by the way they've been playing, man, because each week I see the record and each week I see what they've done. It seems like they are getting better as the games go on, and they're winning against quality teams. I mean, you don't call Detroit a quality team, but Detroit was kind of quality this year more so than any other year in the past 30 years. And I'm thinking with the way it's setting up for them, it's up to the GMs and the scouts to get the players they believe that can fit right in. DJ Moore having a big game.
Here's another one of my concerns for Justin Fields. His escapability is off the charts. But how long will that last? How long will he be able to escape and run downfield for a 20-yard scamper or whatever? Those quarterbacks do not last long.
No, Lamar Jackson, but at least Lamar Jackson learned his lesson.
Right.
Lamar Jackson has learned now that he gets runs on design runs now instead of just running like a chicken with his head off after the first read. He's now just moving laterally, still finding those receivers. He's a completely different quarterback. I know people want to shoot him down, but he still can't read the safety, man. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers in multiple games against top teams. Yeah. This guy has finally gotten it. All he needs to do now is do that same thing in the playoffs, and there's nothing to lead me to believe that he can't do it because he's finally there. After all of these years in the NFL, he's finally got it down to somewhat of a science to where he could get this many wins out of it. I think it continues. Now, the playoffs are a different thing, but he does have the makeup of being able to do something in the playoffs this time around, at least better than he's been, which doesn't say much, but being the player we see now, not too much different later.
Yeah, he seems even, I don't want to say better than his MVP season, but I think mentally, his game mentally now is better than it was his MVP season.
Yep, and that's true. Oh, we didn't talk about, and I really still haven't really looked on, the Dallas and Detroit game. What's up with that call?
I didn't watch it, but I'm
hearing about the call.
So from everything I've seen, I think the referee was confused because why would Goff tell 68 go report, and 68 goes to report, and then he sees 70, and 70 is not even all the way to him. He just starts running. He nods, goes to tell the defense. But 68's the one trying to talk to him. So he didn't get 68. Now another thing is they announced 70 has reported as an eligible receiver.
Yeah.
Well, how much time was on the clock? Did they have a timeout? Can they say no, not 70, 68? But then that takes away from the deception they were trying to do.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, watch 68. Everybody gets 68. I don't know. I don't know of another time where the wrong number was announced as reporting eligible. So what is the protocol for that? Can the coach say, hey, yo, it's not 70,
wrong dude.
68. But I don't know.
I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, you got to make the announcement
bro.
anyway. So wherever you are, you're going to be focused on, because now if you have two offensive linemen and you get one player that's covering that play, he's no longer an eligible receiver anyway. Mm-hmm. But man, it's just, and now they're talking about it. Obviously, it was such a big deal and a big issue. They were talking about where we're not going to talk about it in the meetings in the off season. So it's that big, making changes with how it's supposed to be reported. So I don't know, man, but that was something that stuck out.
I don't know what. There was another guy over there with 68. That probably added to the confusion. Like, why are these guys here if 70 is reporting? Oh, here goes 70. All right, I got. But see, I don't know if 68 said he was reporting with the other guy. I don't know if anything was even said by either of them. People are saying 68 was going like this. I'm reporting. I don't know. I didn't see that on the video.
But people start making things up, and they hope you see what they're making up. I'm serious. After a while,
they still had another chance, and quarterback threw a garbage ass pass. I don't know if he's going to get in anyway. He was at the 2-yard line. He would have had to turn and beat the guy to the corner or whatever. I don't think he was going to beat him.
Well, so now Dallas gets the win, and now one more win gives them the NFC East champs, because Philadelphia just went down the tubes. And even if Philadelphia did win the NFC East, they're not going to probably do nothing in the playoffs. It doesn't seem whether they're at home or on the road, doesn't matter. But yeah, so Dallas more than likely.
No, hold on. The only other thing is Rex Ryan says, he's a former coach. Yeah. He says, I can guarantee you they told that referee before the game, this is what we're going to do. He's like, we used to even draw it up on the whiteboard. We're gonna line up like this, and this is the play we're gonna run. If they did that, then that referee should be fired. Yeah, he should have been expecting it at some point. Or are you guys gonna run that play now? Okay, I got you. 68. But no, he sees 70, starts running. I gotta tell the defense. Like maybe he was so concerned with informing Dallas why that he didn't stick around to get all the information. Oh, I gotta tell Dallas. 70's reporting.
We have some NBA refs up in the house. Probably so.
I don't know. What's his hurry? Right? 70 never made it to him. He was still like 10 yards away, at least. He just saw 70 running. I got you, 70.
I did see a report, so I don't know if it's an official report saying that this officiating crew won't have a shot in the playoffs. They won't be getting a shot in the playoffs. Well, after something like that, you don't need them in the playoffs.
So is that an admission of guilt somehow?
I don't know. They're just saying that, when you get all these articles out there, you don't know who's legitimate anymore and who's not. You can get someone from the Bleacher Report saying it still doesn't have any credibility. This day and age, man,
like I said,
the journalistic integrity, where?
I think he was confused, or he did not stick around to get all the information. I'm not going to say he intentionally screwed them. Again, he announced 70. Somebody could have said something odd, but I don't know how much time was on the clock. Yeah, I know you don't want to lose 5 yards in that situation trying to say this guy's eligible, because if you get a delay a game, you're not going to run that play anyway.
Yep. Well, man, a bad game for them. Hell, at least Detroit already clinched, so it's not like it really affected them. They clinched the North.
It affect them going on the road if they play Dallas.
Well, if they play Dallas, yeah, it will. I mean, but right now they're in the playoffs. Hey, you know what? You're grown men. Get out there and play, even if that home field advantage is not there for you.
But they should have kicked the extra point then. They should have kicked the extra point, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I guess he wanted to go for the win.
Yeah.
I mean, some coaches want to get that aura of being, I'll take the chance, that riverboat activity mind.
I'm just saying, after they take the 2-point conversion down and you go back 5 yards, man, just kick the extra point. Like, man, we tried it. They messed it up, but let's just kick the extra point, take our chances in overtime. That's
Well,
what I would have done. That's what I think was the right move.
Well, that puts a lid on the NFL. Do you have any closing calls or closing comments about what's been going on in the NBA? I mean, Ja Morant's teams finally lost with him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't watched much NBA in a few,
You know what?
days.
Neither have I. I mean, Oklahoma City still killing it. SGA still an MVP candidate.
No, the only thing I saw there was a big fuss. LeBron and the Lakers with his toe on the line, not on the line. I've seen photos with the end of his shoe on the line. I've seen it not on the line. I don't know what to believe. I didn't watch it live. I don't know. But then I saw a meme today. It says "Stop crying," and it says, "Here's the definitive proof." It had a picture of LeBron James with a clown shoe.
Bro, come on. He gonna have anything
was
else.
like 7 inches over the line.
Like Kevin Durant, right? Against the Bucks. Damn.
Stop
No
crying,
surprise
man.
someone would come with something like that, man. This dude getting it, man. He always gets it, man. They give it to him, but he opens the door for them to give it to him. That's what happens, man.
Yeah. You remember Patrick Bear with the camera? Look, it's right here. Look. Too late, man. We were already overruled.
Oh, man. LeBron, boy. He did turn 40 years old, though, since we last.
He's not 40. He's 39. He turned 39.
I thought he was 40. 39. I thought he was 39.
No, he was 39.
Oh, crap. But he's been in the NBA now. Well, even last year, he was in the NBA for more than half of his life now. Even more so.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's craziness, man. This is how you grew up. This is your normal. But anyways, we'll get a chance to talk about even more of this because a lot will be happening in between now and Thursday. Isn't this the last week of the NFL starting on Thursday? I don't even know who's freaking playing. I don't think anyone really cares at this very moment because this is that time of year when people are just waiting for Black Monday. Actually, they did move the Buffalo-Miami game to prime time. So those guys will get a chance to fight it out for the AFC East, which I predicted in the beginning. Well, you're going to have Buffalo, you're going to have Miami, you're going to have the Jets, and then you're going to have New England bring up the rear. Well, that's kind of working out, but not with the Jets.
Josh Allen's going to have a big game. I think Dolphins, they're probably smarting from that beatdown they got from the Ravens, and plus they got to get some get back from the first beatdown they took in Buffalo.
And you just don't know which Buffalo team is going to show up. They have all these pieces to blow teams out or at least just be a 4-loss team like a lot of these other teams that are claiming to be elite, and they don't. And they just lose when you don't expect them to lose, and they blow games, and then Josh Allen throwing a whole bunch of interceptions, and then he's trying to rally to come back to win the game. Remind me of old Tim Tebow. He put himself in a hole, then you give him credit for getting out of it. Get out of here. But anyway, we'll get a chance to talk about that on Thursday. He's biased. I'm Trav, and oh my God, Sports Bag Bros podcast is signing off in 2024. Deuces.
Adios.